Most people would grab that corporate paycheck and never look back. But Rashesh Doshi, he chose the weird path.
There was this business which my dad had started, and he wanted to actually shut it down because it wasn't doing too well. So I said, let me brave it out. Let me give it a shot and try to convert it into a profit-making company.
What if I told you that the safe choice could be the riskiest decision you ever make? Today's guest faced that exact dilemma. Picture this. You're 22, fresh out of business school with an MBA, and you've got two options on the table. Option 1, take a secure corporate job paying 6,000 rupees a month. Option 2, try to resurrect your father's dying insurance business that's bleeding money and has zero prospects. Most people would grab that corporate paycheck and never look back. But Rashesh Doshi, he chose the weird path. And that decision didn't just change his life. It created a business empire that's now empowered over 100 people to become their own bosses, completed 25,000 successful job placements, and is expanding globally through Stanford University's prestigious Seed program. Rashesh is the managing director of Talent Corner, one of India's largest recruitment franchise networks. But more than that, he's living proof that sometimes the scariest choice is actually the safest one for your soul. We're going to dive deep into how he built a people-first business model that breaks every traditional rule, why he believes meeting clients face-to-face will always beat algorithms, and what Canadian entrepreneurs can learn from someone who's been disrupting the status quo for over 2 decades. If you've ever felt stuck between playing it safe and following your gut, this conversation is for you. Rashesh, welcome to The Weird Canadian.
So, you faced every entrepreneur's nightmare decision, a safe corporate job or a risky family business. Can you walk us through the moment that you made the weird choice?
So Cody, I'm basically an accidental entrepreneur. And the story goes more in terms of when I was 20, a few years ago, and I had the choice of going and taking up a job in a company. Obviously, a few years ago, there wasn't much that would get paid. It was barely, if I may say, 6,000 rupees Indian, which really was not going to be very helpful in terms of taking the career forward. And there was this business which my dad had started, and he wanted to actually shut it down because it wasn't doing too well. So I said, let me brave it out. Let me give it a shot and try to convert it into a profit-making company. And luckily for me, it worked out really well. And a few years later, we were profit-making. We scaled out to become a 100-people company, and the rest is history. We're doing really well right now as well.
So can you tell me how you went about making your company profitable? Like what change did you make to really pivot on your father's business?
For us, I think, if I may say, 2 things really happened very well. The whole franchise model that we came up with in the year 2011 is what brought the required scale within the organization. As a company, we were typically operating very similar to any other recruitment company, which is building a team, getting clients, working on them, and working in the same pace of growing at 20-30% a year. The real big change happened when we innovated on our franchise model. We were the first one to do it in India. And post which I think the scale happened. We brought about a lot more people who were like-minded and who would treat the company like their own. I think the first change happened was when we started the franchise model. And the big change that happened after that is when we started actually believing and building a team who could lead and take us to the next step in the future. Building a team is not easy. It requires a lot from everybody. And I think that big change mindset of really focusing hard and building a long-term team is what made us into a profitable and scalable organization.
It's definitely what I'm experiencing lately is finding good team members are really, really key to what makes your business. It's nice that you've empowered people to do this. Can we walk through the building of your franchise revolution? Over 100 people have escaped your 9-to-5 through your franchise model. How do you connect with these people to make sure that these franchises are kept to your standard, kept to your, can you walk me through how you walk through a franchise owner?
Sure, Pradesh. So, I tell you something that I learned in the last 15 years is to believe that people have intent, right? It's not that people want to break your system or they want to do things in a bad way. They all have an intent to do it in the right way. Our job is actually to trust them and empower them to do it in the right fashion, right? A lot of us actually think that people don't want to do it, but it's usually our mistake where we don't empower them, we don't train them, we don't treat them like humans, which means that you tell them what to do and expect them to do it instead of actually investing and making sure that they're understanding the reason why it's done. It also boils down to what your culture is, right? If you have a culture where they feel that they are part of the entire decision making process, they're a part of the entire value chain, they feel that they are actually acknowledged, they're more than willing to take up what you're trying to do it. So I'm doing this entire Stanford course, and I can tell you one thing that I've learned is everything has got the IKEA effect. If you get them to build it, then they are not going to break it, right? So get them to build the system and the
Very
processes.
fair. And by empowering each franchisee to make their own decisions, you're giving that power to extend even more of the franchise. There's a business term or a business philosophy right now that if you get over 100 people, it starts to get like you start to lose your branding, your consistency along that. Do you see that also in the franchisee model where you lose that consistency over 100 people?
So I'm not really sure what the answer to this should be. We haven't really had a major problem with that. Of course, there is a brand ethos that most people start off with. And unfortunately, you can't stick to the brand ethos all the time. It evolves. Especially in a franchise model, you need to acknowledge the fact that it's no longer only the way you think. Your franchise partners are actually truly your partners, and you must respect what they bring to the table. You must also respect what they want to make out of the company, because they're also the ones who are putting their blood and sweat. So yes, our brand has obviously evolved over a period of time. We've, if I may say so, we've really kept three things which are really, really fundamental to our brand from the very beginning. These three philosophies are the pillars on which our company is built, which is trust, transparency, and relationships. And I think everything else, while it kind of became a work in progress, these three philosophies is what we stuck to. And more or less everybody across the franchise model has also stuck to these philosophies to the brand.
It's really it's refreshing to hear that the pillars of business are starting to change to be more transparent, honest, and authentic to the business. I love that businesses are going the way of like the old days where your company was your family, you treated them as such, and as such, your customer base also became the extended family that you get to enjoy. And right now, we're in this quasi period where businesses don't care about people; it's just all about the profits. So I really appreciate what you're doing with your business and your company model.
Thank you.
So let's get into the tech a little bit. How are you seeing humans irreplaceable in your business? With the age of AI, it makes things a lot easier to just run an agent model to do like a sales task or a marketing task. How do you integrate humans so that they're irreplaceable in your business?
So let me put in terms of a perspective, and so let me first break the myth. The myth is that is AI going to be the next big thing? No, it is the next big thing. Again, it's going to be the next thing. It already arrived, and it's making big changes in our world. The more you acknowledge it, the better it's going to be for you. So that's one. Do I think it's going to replace people completely? I'm not sure. At least in my business, I'm not sure. And let me tell you something which I've learned out of experience. Now, for a human being, their job or their career is by far one of the most important things in their lifetime. And that's because they go to work almost 8 hours a day. That's one third of their life, right? Now, when they're making a career decision a regarding a job, right, and when they're making a decision, which is an important decision, are they going to be really, really comfortable interacting with the bot or actually interacting with a human being. They obviously want to have conversation. They obviously want to feel that they can trust the opposite person. They definitely want to have someone they can fall back upon in case things go south. They also want to ask questions which can be only answered through empathy, right? Which a bot is not going to be able to do. They want to have someone that they can actually confide in, because careers are not easy to change, specifically when it comes to the mid level and senior level talent. So yes, am I excited about AI? 150%. I'm very, very excited. I feel that it's going to make our jobs so much more sweeter, right? I mean, I really would like to have more conversations with people than go through resumes, but it's not going to replace me for sure, because I think human to human interaction can't be done by AI, no matter what.
It's funny you say that because I have interviewed quite a few people in the AI space, and everybody I interview says the same thing. It's hey, humans are going to be like a verification or a backup to an LLM or just a confidant. Like we're going to be more into the space of connecting with humans as opposed to connecting with machines, because for the most part, half the things I do, I'm a software developer myself. Half the things I do, I hate doing, but now I can just send an LLM to go do that work. Well, I get to prosper on the things I love doing, like talking to guests and being able to think out complex tasks. I enjoy writing research papers now because I have my LLM. I take my thoughts and just have them come together in a research paper that I can read. But at the same time, it's like I want to give that information to humans. I want to be able to explore it. I think humans are going to get more creative, and I'm excited. One of the things, one of the things I noticed in your thing is the Stanford Seed program. Can you enlighten the audience what that is?
So the Stanford University runs this program called the FOOD program, for developing economies, right? They've identified India and its neighboring countries, which is Bangladesh, Nepal, Sri Lanka, and Indonesia, is African region. And Stanford truly believes that the next big change, which is going to happen in the world economy, is going to be from companies or entrepreneurs who are based from here, from these developing economies. And obviously, Stanford is a very mindful university. They don't just want to build businesses, they want to create impact. Specifically on the UN SDGs, they're very clear that they want to get people who can create impact. So, what they've been doing for the last few years is they've been running this program called the Seed Transformation, where over a period of 6 months, first they identify the companies worthy of the program through a very stringent process. And I can very boldly tell you, Cody, the first time I applied for this program, I actually got rejected. And the second time I applied a few years ago and I got through the program. And we've been through the program for the last 10 months. We will get a certification somewhere in the month of November. Now, what the beauty of the program is, it gets you to think very differently, right? And why I'm saying so is because it's not that you do the training yourself. So let's say if I have to go and do a management program, I go to a university, I do the training, I learn, and I try to come back and implement. The C transformation is exactly what regular MBA is not. So one, you definitely have the opportunity to go through the university, which and they have a setup in India, but the entire team is a part of the program. So I have a 14-member team, transformation team, who goes through the curriculum of the program, works on the framework every 45 days, implements it, goes back to Stanford and gives the feedback, and then creates a T plan, what we call the transformation plan, which will take us in the next 3 to 5 years forward. What's really worked for us, Cody, and I'm telling you, is that we've only just implemented 4 or 5 things of what we've learned in the last 10 months. And we can see a big change in the way we think, the way we function, the way we try to create an impact. And I'm sure when we do present our T plan to Stanford and implement it in the next 3 to 5 years, it will make us a powerful organization, not in terms of just business, but truly to add value to society at large and make the world a better
I
place.
love that. I really do love that. It's what we need right now. We need to stop thinking about this is the abundance era, right? We have abundance. We just need to stop acting like everything's a scarce resource.
Absolutely. I think the scarcity mindset is so dangerous in the world right now. If you could think about abundance all the time, I think we could. We used to be a world. I'm telling you, we used to be a world. We used to think about abundance earlier. Unfortunately, I don't know if it's the post-COVID era. We're so determined to look at the scarcity mindset. I hope it changes very
I've
soon.
been busy building business plans on self-sustaining grocery markets and things like that as well. So I'm sure there's plenty of plans for more sustainable and more abundance-driven development out there. It's ridiculous how much space we have and we don't utilize for these projects to even try them out. I see the Michelin. I don't know if you know, there's a Michelin commercial about how they're changing the seas by using inflatable sails, but they've never built them. It's still just a concept. They're just promoting it, but they haven't actually built the sales yet. So can we actually do these things instead of just saying we're going to do them?
True, true. I think action is what's most important. Unfortunately, we're delaying actions quite a bit, and it's about time we kind of push things into the
Do
fast forward
you
button.
do you have any forward thinking thoughts to give to the audience about how to go about that? How to start actioning instead of just talking about it?
So something that's really worked for me is specifically, and I'm going to first talk to people who are entrepreneurs. We usually get stuck into the day-to-day business, and trying to handle the day-to-day operations. One of the best things that I learned recently was that entrepreneurs are nothing but people who love dozing out the fire. We just love putting the fire away, and we've become firemen over a period of time. And unfortunately, that's not our job, right? Our job is when we get an idea, when we want to do something, first think about, can we get someone to do it for us? Can we build a team who can do it for us? Team, technology, or whatever you think you need in that. I think we need to first get into that. And that's when, you will have time to do the actions which are more important for you or for your business. That's one thing that's really worked well for me. Something that's really worked for me well is actually working a lot on how I use my time. So I'm extremely planned. I invest a lot of time in planning my week and making sure I like to do things, or I do things which I like to do, right? So, for example, a podcast like this and getting into conversation. So I put some time for that first, and then allow other things to fill up my calendar. And I guess the intention should be to do the more important things first. And as much as it's cliche that people tell you to do the important things first, it's just common sense, right? You put that on your calendar, you do it first, and everything else then takes care of itself. I think these are the three things that I've learned, and it's worked for me. I hope it works for others. Yeah,
Because
that's it.
time management has never been my good part. Although I do have to give it to, since I started putting up a schedule and just allowing everybody to make space, it's been a lot easier for me. Coming up with my own, that's where it gets ridiculous.
Yeah.
I just want to one last question. How are you using AI today? I know everybody has their own ways of doing things. I just want to know how you personally are using it to better your life.
Sure. So we haven't really used AI in terms of an agentic form yet. We're still a little iffy about whether or not it will do good for us. So we haven't gotten the agentic format. But we're using a lot of AI in terms of typically filtering profiles for us. So we're an executive search firm. So we obviously get a lot of profiles which come into our ecosystem. So we want to filter the right profiles. We talk to the right people, use a lot of AI in terms of communication. So making sure the right messages are going across to our prospective customers or to our candidates so that there's better response. I use a lot of AI for ideation, right? I think AI is brilliant if you actually get the person to become like your ideation board or your sounding board or someone you can brainstorm with, and it's worked beautifully for me. I think we as entrepreneurs, there's so much happening in our minds that we can't really draw the mind map properly if we don't use these technologies. Fortunately for me, AI has helped fully that way. And of course, the usual things. I mean, getting creative things done, getting a video edited, or just getting your SEO or SMOs in place. I think that way we've been using it, but those are all probably things of 2 years earlier. This is how we're currently using it, and we will definitely use the agentic format on a 2 or 3 months down the line. And I'll be happy to share my experience in that one as well.
Definitely, yeah. I'll have you come back on to share that. Actually, I just interviewed somebody yesterday. I'm going to send you their link. It's called Avatar Buddy. They're actually looking for beta testers for recruitment. So you might want to be interested in that. I'll send the link in Pod Match after this. So I just want to give you the last 5 minutes to give my audience any thoughts or anywhere that you can reach you to make sure that you come visit the interview.
Sure, sure. So again, my name is Rashesh Doshi, and I'm an entrepreneur from India. I'm based out of Mumbai. Anyone who is keen to have a conversation just about business, about India, about the opportunity that this country holds, about the abundance mindset, about just sharing ideas and getting into a good perspective, or requires any network in India, I can tell you I should be able to connect you to most people out here. You can look me up on LinkedIn. I'm very active. I post a lot of things. I have a lot of conversations with people. So my LinkedIn profile is my name. That's Rashesh Doshi. And my company name is Talent Corner. So if you need to look me up on my company, it's www.talentcorner.in. My mobile numbers are mentioned out there as well. So if you want to reach out to me, I'm happy to connect and get into a good conversation.
And I hope my audience will reach out because this has been a great conversation, and I hope we get to have more of them, and my audience can actually reach out to me or you, and I'll make sure everything's in the comments below for them. So thank you very much for coming on. Stay weird.
Thanks, Cody. Thanks so much. Take care.